One thing I've learned over the years is that no matter what it is, there will always be at least one person trying to collect as many pieces of memorabilia that they can. Collections range from vintage toys still in the original packaging, old comics, trading cards, video games, and relics from sporting events, such as jerseys. I'm one of those people who do like to collect, and since I was 3 years old, the one thing I've always collected have been NASCAR Diecasts. These are replicas of real cars that race every week in NASCAR, featuring all the incredible detail, designs, and sponsors that make up the 3 national leagues of the sport. I've always loved to collect the different designs and drivers that race throughout the season. Some of these are the most iconic cars to ever run, such as Dale Earnhardt's black number 3 Goodwrench car and Jeff Gordon's number 24 DuPont Rainbow Warrior Chevy, which were both the most recognizable cars of the 1990s and still to this day are incredibly popular. These cars are forever remembered in the form of diecasts, and that's what makes collecting NASCAR diecasts great, to remember incredible moments, drivers, or designs that ran in the sport. So in this video, I will show you some of my personal favorite NASCAR diecasts that I have collected over the years, some of which are quite rare and practically non-existent. But we'll begin with this. This is Kyle Larson's 2017 Michigan win, where he won in a design based on Lightning McQueen. Back in 2017, Disney were sponsoring NASCAR stock cars to promote the upcoming release of Cars 3. On that specific weekend, they decided to sponsor the number 42 of Kyle Larson, which ended up being an incredibly smart choice as Larson would qualify on the pole and go on to win the entire race. This car is one of the greatest movie designs to ever run in NASCAR, as it perfectly represents Lightning McQueen's signature colors, and of course, they implemented the iconic lightning bolt that runs down the side of the car, and it looks fantastic. The only thing that isn't accurate on the car, other than the sponsors, is the black stripe that runs from the hood down to the rear deck lid, but it doesn't really take away from the car whatsoever. This is the 1/64 version of the car, which is the smallest version available, and I'd like to get the 1/24 version, which is a lot bigger and has more detail, but unfortunately the price of the car is quite high. Like, really high. If I'm correct, this was the last diecast for a NASCAR sponsored by Disney to be produced, but they didn't stop sponsoring cars, and their most recent venture in the Cup Series was last year sponsoring Brad Keselowski's number 6 car in collaboration with King's Hawaiian Bread. We now move to one of the many 1/24 scaled size cars that I have, and this one is quite special as it was a throwback to his championship winning season. This is Kevin Harvick's 2023 Budweiser car that he ran at the Homestead Miami Speedway in a special color chrome finish. Harvick drove this car during his retirement season last year in 2023, and it was and still is, in my opinion, one of the best recreations of an older car on the newer next-gen body. With the moved up number, it allows for designers to get creative to fill in the gap where the number used to be, which is on the door. On this car, they put the Anheuser-Busch together really well, and I especially love the special chrome finish on the car. The red just shines so brightly in the light, and I personally like it more than the original shade of red. When this car was announced, I instantly knew that I had to pick it up in this exact version, but I also decided to get the 1/64 version to pair along with it, as I have them both displayed on my desk. This car was the last real throwback that the team did that season for Harvick's farewell tour, and it is one of my personal favorite designs that he's driven in his elusive career. Now let's rewind the clock back to July 4th, 1984, America's birthday, and also the day NASCAR history would be made. This is Richard Petty's STP car that he drove in the Firecracker 400 at the Daytona International Speedway, produced in an exclusive liquid color finish. Richard Petty's number 43 STP car is one of the most memorable cars to have ever run in motorsports, as it was a simple yet incredible looking car. No matter what car it was on, the iconic Petty blue always stood out on the track. Petty would win 200 races throughout his entire career, with the last one being at the Firecracker 400 on July 4th. A caution came out late into the race, meaning that whoever crossed the finish line as the leader first would ultimately win the race, and it was between Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough. They traded a lead multiple times in the final half of the lap, but as they came to the finish line, it would be Petty who would barely be ahead and would be declared the winner of the race. This is that car from his historic 200th win, and it is beautiful. The car's design is quite simple, but both the red and blue pop so well. I love how you can see the tire mark on the right side of the car, as it adds to the authenticity of that finish. The special liquid colored finish is on the Petty blue, and just like the Harvick car, it shines in the light. In my personal opinion, blue is one of the best colors to get a special finish in, such as color chrome or liquid color. I personally believe it's further proven by this car. Something special to note is that this car was won in front of President Ronald Reagan, who was the first United States president to attend a NASCAR race. This car was offered last year on Lionel Racing's website with only 72 cars being produced in this specific version, of which all 72 ended up selling out within an hour. Now, this is quite a rare diecast, but this one is even rarer, but not for the reason that you expect. This is Matt Kenseth's 2018 Roush Performance car, and there is quite a story on how this car came to be. You see, Matt Kenseth retired from full-time racing in 2017 with Joe Gibbs Racing, which was a proper send-off for the former Cup Series champion. However, not even 1 year later, Kenseth was tapped by Roush Fenway Racing, now known as RFK Racing, to replace Trevor Bayne for the rest of the 2018 season. Bayne had been with the team for a couple of years, but didn't really improve whatsoever, which more than likely wasn't his fault considering Roush as a whole kept going backwards in terms of competition. But from what I could find, this car was driven by Kenseth at the 2018 Cup Series race at Pocono. So you might be thinking, what's so special about this diecast? Well, it's because this car is almost impossible to find anywhere on the internet. Other than the previous short I made on this car, there's only one image of this diecast that I could find on Google. Despite over 500 of these cars being made, only one to my knowledge has ever been sold on eBay for over $200. Supposedly, this car is a promo car, which means it was only sent to 4 dealership owners, as that's how I ended up getting this car. But that's a video in itself, so leave a like and subscribe if you want to know how I got this car. Now the diecast itself is very sleek and simple. A black base with a big red stripe and a smaller silver stripe, but still a good looking car. The red and black resemble the actual Roush logo, and I believe that the silver stripe is supposed to resemble the box around the actual logo, which is also silver. Now this final car that I will show you is easily my favorite and is the rarest car in my entire collection. Only 36 of these cars exist, and all of them were sold out within 10 minutes, which is this. Kyle Busch's 2023 Lucas Oil California win in an exclusive gold finish. This car was driven by Busch at the final race at the 2-mile version of Auto Club Speedway, which he would end up winning by almost 3 seconds over Chase Elliott. This car means a lot to me, as Auto Club is the closest track to me that NASCAR went to, and I have a lot of memories going to the track and watching the cars fly by at speeds over 200 miles per hour. Kyle Busch is also one of my favorite drivers, and he has been for over 10 years. I was super happy to see him have success early on at RCR after the abysmal end to the previous season, and I wanted this car to remember both the first win at RCR and to remember the Auto Club Speedway that used to be there. Now, as for the diecast, it is incredibly detailed, with all the dust that was brought up from underneath the asphalt by the cars being clearly visible on the front of the car. You can also see the battle scars from when he scraped the wall above the right rear tire. The original color of this car was blue, and since the entire car was blue, that meant that all the blue on the car would be replaced with gold, and it looks so good. This is without a doubt my prized possession, as it serves as a reminder to the track that doesn't exist anymore.